Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
TaxAct knows every small business owner has different tax filing needs. With TaxAct, you can file yourself with the help of an expert, or TaxAct can do it all for you. You're the boss, the head honcho, the top banana. And TaxAct is like your loyal, trusty tax aide, ready to pounce on any tax needs you might have. TaxAct is dying to pounce on some small business tax needs. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And this is a doozy here on the Rita Cosby Show. I never thought I'd see this one, but President Trump just a few minutes ago putting out on Truth Social a post saying that he's going to order top administration officials to identify and release government files related to UFOs and aliens. The floodgates are about to open. Listen to this post from President Trump. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, guys, unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. Ending it, God bless America. Wow. So the floodgates are about to open. All this information. What do you think they will reveal? It's always been a big top secret classified slew of data. And in fact, the reason that President Trump is talking about it now was earlier this week, President Barack Obama, the former president, was there talking on a podcast, and they asked him about aliens, and this is what he said. Listen to his first words.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51? Area
51. There's no underground facility, unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
Very interesting. So he said, aliens are real, but I haven't seen them. So this really is revealing, I think. And every president, if you've asked any president, including President Trump, of course, in his first term, but throughout all, has always said it's classified, I can't say anything, or I don't know, it's classified, whatever the case is. So the big question is there life out there, and are we going to find out about it pretty soon? There have been a lot of weird things happen that maybe there is no explanation for other than life outside of us in the universe. By the way, I've been to Area 51, and I didn't see any aliens below ground. I saw a couple crazy characters above ground, but that's a whole other story. But here's President Trump earlier today. He's on Air Force One, and he's asked about that statement from Barack Obama. And at that point, he was not happy that Barack Obama, what he said, gave out classified information. Listen to this.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Well,
he made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, the president can declassify anything that he wants to, so if you want to make an announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens are real.
Yeah, illegal. Only illegals. What else?
Based on what you've been told, what do you think happened to...
Well, and he said, I may get him out of trouble and declassify it. And it sounds like that is exactly what President Trump has announced just minutes ago. This will be stunning, guys, saying that he's going to talk to administration officials and put out information. Remember how he's done it on JFK and he's done it on all these other cases, JFK, RFK, and a whole bunch. Boy, oh boy, if we find out now what's in those files, that's always been top secret. So much so that Barack Obama's first words are, aliens are real. That's a biggie. So this is going to be an interesting next few months. That is for sure. Can you imagine the hearings on Capitol Hill? There have been some interesting ones where you've seen fighter pilots, very prestigious, very credible people who say, oh, yeah, I saw this thing flying by me and it had to be X. I saw this and it flew by me and it was X. By the way, I mentioned I've been to Area 51. I went to a place there called Little Alien Inn. And at Little Alien Inn, they have pictures all over the walls. You got to go there. It is quite a scene. You go there and you see these pictures all over the walls of different moments in history. Oh, that is a sighting in Germany in 1970 blank. That's a sighting over here in Utah and blank, 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 where they swear these are unidentified objects. It really is an unforgettable scene. And they have a big upside down flying saucer in the front. You can't miss it. And then I went to Area 51 and it is heavily fortified like a fortress, you guys. So there's some interesting things there. There is no doubt for sure. I'm not sure if they're there or not, but there's definitely, I believe, life outside of this universe. The question is what? 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And meanwhile, some other interesting breaking news coming from the Mamdani team.
Breaking news.
Well, a recent reveal of some new hires for Zohran Mamdani, and you can't make this one up. 3 of them are founders of a Muslim group that blamed October 7th on, quote, the Israeli apartheid regime. They are members of the Muslim Democratic Club of New York, of which, by the way, a very anti-Semitic activist, Linda Sarsour, was there. She takes a lot of credit for Mamdani's electoral victory and says she was sort of his mentor. He'll say that too. But a number of them put out statements after October 7th, essentially blaming Israel. Saying, quote, for New Yorkers who believe in justice, these feelings are deepening by witnessing too many elected officials offering support for Israel's occupations, rampant violence as it openly declares and enacts its intent to engage in mass violence and genocide against the Palestinians. What a lovely statement that they said just a few days after those brutal, horrific attacks on October 7th on Israelis. Let's remember who the real victims were here, guys. This is disgusting. So he puts in 3 people that were founders of this group that believe pretty much what he believes in. And of course, Zohran Mamdani also now has a sanctuary city czar because he's not backing away from his sanctuary city policy. And at a time where New York is in the hole and he's talking about these massive property tax increases, if he doesn't get a big tax from the state on the wealthy and corporations. So he said then he's going to really sock it on property taxes. That's going to really drive away people from New York. But in the meantime, somehow he also wants $1.2 billion with a B to make sure that New Yorkers take care of illegal migrants. Don't worry about yourself as long as the illegal migrant is able to order food, especially 5-star food and nice hotels in New York. Let's keep it coming for them. And don't worry if you can't make ends meet. Here is Zohran Mamdani talking about all these programs that he wants in place in New York to protect illegal migrants.
Clearly, these are programs for every single New Yorker. These are not programs that are going to ask the immigration status of any one of the children. All of those children are New Yorkers. They should all be enrolled in pre-K and 3K, no matter where they were born or where they come from. And we are also proud to be a sanctuary city. What a sanctuary city means is that we have policies in place, policies that have existed for years in this city, that deny ICE agents access into schools, hospitals, city properties, or even the properties of city contractors, unless those ICE agents can present a judicial warrant signed by a judge. We know that the vast majority of the time, ICE agents are not presenting that kind of documentation. If they're presenting any documentation, it tends to be an administrative warrant, and oftentimes there isn't any documentation even provided. So we want to make clear the rights of every New Yorker that they have.
And so earlier today, we talked with Tom Homan on Katz and Cosby, of course, the Borders Czar, and asked him what he thinks of these comments by Mamdani and others talking about sanctuary cities.
I want to bring to your attention, I'm sure you're aware of this, our newly elected mayor has just appointed a Czarina to enforce sanctuary city policies of the city of New York as imposed by this mayor, saying they should make sure that all of the city employees comply with his edicts on sanctuary cities. How are you going to respond to that?
Well, we'll see him in court. You know, a sanctuary cities are sanctuary for criminals. We just learned in Minnesota that the smart thing to do is let us in your jails because it makes the city of New York safer, makes the state of New York safer. It's safer for the community, it's safer for the agents, and it's safer for the illegal alien we're taking in custody. So, you know, I mean, I've heard the governor here in New York say numerous times. I've seen her say it numerous times. I should be concentrating on the public safety threats and not the rest of the illegal aliens in this country. Well, you can't swear that by locking us out of jail. The governor needs to, stick up to what she's been saying. She's saying we should prioritize criminals. Well, if you mean that, then don't lock us out of jail. That is just ridiculous.
Great points. And yet, it seems like Mamdani is doubling, tripling, quadrupling down. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Joaquin in Pennsylvania, line 2. Go ahead, Joaquin.
Good evening, Rita. You know, I think that maybe you might want to refer to me as a wingnut, Joaquin, just to protect yourself from things I have to say.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Let it rip, Joaquin. Go ahead.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you know something? I want to piggyback on Robert, but also on Eduardo last night. I made a note of this. And he said something that I actually believe in, that when they went into Iraq, they made a big mistake. And I think they should have gone into Iran. And I can't help but think that it was done to protect the Islamic regimes in the Middle East, because Saddam Hussein actually kept his Muslim population under control. Christians actually were free. Everybody else was free to practice their religions. And he actually was a threat, you know, to basically to Islam and to Iran. You know, there was always war between the two, and it kind of kept each other in check. So,
I think a lot of people have concerns, certainly at the way that was handled. There's no doubt, which is why you don't just go in haphazardly. Obviously, you know, they said there was weapons of mass destruction. It turned out there was not. There were a lot of questions. I agree with that. I think a lot of people feel that was a mistake. And by the way, even President Trump has said that he had a lot of questions about, going into Iraq, thinking we should not have done that. That's something actually I've talked to President Trump about. I remember talking years ago with President Trump about Iraq and whether it should have been done or not done and why. And he and I remember talking personally with him about it. So I don't think he is someone who haphazardly just goes in for the sake of doing it, which is why I do think he has been trying at all costs to avoid that. Don't you think with Iran? I mean, look at this. How many times has he allowed them to come to the table? How many times has he allowed them to, step up And so you can't say if you're Iran that he hasn't given you a lot of chances, which I give him credit for.
Yes, I mean that is. I'm not saying anything against going into Iran, actually, because I think that's
no.
what
I'm talking. I was talking about going into Iraq.
Right.
Your point, because I think your point,
Right.
and Eduardo's, I think was a good one and a bona fide one.
Yes, and so the whole thing of it is that my only thing, of course, is I feel really bad for these Iranian people that now, unfortunately, they're unarmed and they can't, they don't have the weapons to defend themselves, which I wish that we would have covertly at least given them weapons when this all started. But, you can see, it should be easy to see for anyone that this whole globalist agenda, you look at the European Union, and Keir Starmer, and quite frankly, King Charles is on board with all of this too, because his greatest concern at a speech he gave at Conference of Parties 26 was climate change. So, they want their globalist elite, to basically rule the world. And it seems like they're piggybacking on Islam, to conquer countries, because let's face it, every place that we're allowing Islam in, it's changing the cultures of the nations and the people, like, the British, the French, anyone, Americans who speak out against it, all of a sudden they're vilified, and they're called Islam, Islamophobia or, are racist. But the fact of the matter is that, this is destroying everyone's culture. And even seeing it, I'm watching videos from Japan of things that are happening, young girls being converted over to Islam over there. And this is something that, unfortunately, the globalists, the European Union, I don't think that these people want the Iranian mullahs to fall at all. And so they're going to do everything to thwart President Trump in this endeavor. And I think that if we don't wake up and start to realize that we need to preserve our cultures, because let's face it, every place, where you have higher Muslim populations, Minnesota, New York, and they're taking everything over and they're changing our cultures.
Well, that's why, as we were just talking earlier, places like Poland and Hungary and others are saying, no, we don't want to be like England. We don't want to be like Germany. How about some of these places, also Joaquin, in France, where they have their little enclaves? It's almost like the chop zone in Seattle, and that's a dangerous place to be. You can't come in, French police. This is a Muslim enclave. You can't come in. Can you imagine something like that in America? We would lose all our identity if we ever allowed any religion to do that. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And we'll be back, everybody, after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now, is right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Payne Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care. Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer
treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's continue with your calls. Let's go to Matt on line 1 there in the Bronx. Go ahead, Matt. What you got tonight?
All right. Shifting gears a bit away from the Middle East and over to Mamdani and his plan to cut 5,000 NYPD cadets.
Yeah, that's pretty dangerous, right?
Yeah, it is. But, with regard to the police department itself, there really has been a lowering of the quality of the candidates that go into the police academy.
Oh, wait, Matt, you got to do me a favor. You got to stick with us. We're going to a hard break. Are you now going to blame the police force for Mamdani's anti-police views?
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rita Cosby is on.
And we're going to get to Matt in a moment. But, of course, he's talking about Zohran Mamdani. And Zohran Mamdani keeps coming out swinging, saying, we are not just doubling down on sanctuary cities protecting migrants. We're tripling down. Who could forget? He said this not that long ago.
He says that he'll withhold, this really is something. Trump says that he will withhold federal funding for New York City if you win. Can he do that, number one? And my question is that going to stop people from voting for you?
This is just one of the many threats that Donald Trump makes. Every day he wakes up, he makes another threat, a lot of the times about the city that he actually comes from. And what is angering to me is not what Donald Trump does, because we've come to expect that from him. But it's the idea that we have to accept that as the law. The idea that we have to accept that as normal. We have to fight that, because we know not only is it an overreach from a federal administration, it's an example of what he's done elsewhere.
Yeah.
In California, he's spoken about withholding federal funding. The attorney general there has estimated that for every dollar they spend in legal fees, they've won more than $30,000 back in funds they would have lost. I'm proud and lucky to say that here in New York we have an incredible attorney general, Tish James, who's been on the front lines of that same fight.
Yeah, he said he is fighting it. And in fact, he's also trying to add more funds at a time where the city is busting at the seams. But no, Mamdani says the priority is taking care of illegal immigrants. And in fact, one of the things that he did say was that he wants to scale back on NYPD officers. He says maybe we just don't hire 5,000 new cops that were set to be hired. That was sort of an edict that Eric Adams did on his way out of office. And obviously, you can always use more cops, and we desperately need more cops in New York. But Mamdani says he wants a cop-free world. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go back to Matt in the Bronx. Go ahead, Matt.
Right. So Mamdani's cutting back, he's slashing 5,000 cops at a time when, by the police department's own admission, subway crime, for example, is up 17% so far this year.
So you're not going to blame that on cops. Are you going to blame that on cops, or are you going to blame it on the criminals?
No, of course it's the criminals. But the point I'm trying to make, he's emblematic of the type of left-wing politician that ruins cities. And one of the things that was happening, in addition, before Mamdani, was not only the fact that you had fewer cops in the time of rising crime, but you also had lowering of the standards of the people who were hired as police. Once upon a time that you needed 60 college credits in order to become a cop in New York City. They lowered it to so few people were being recruited that they lowered it to something like 28 or 24 credits.
Let me ask you, though, Matt, hang on one second. Don't you understand how tough it is to be in the police force? I mean, I'm not saying I want the standards to remain high. I want the quality to remain high. And I do believe it is still at a very good level. But the reality was there were a lot of people who didn't want to join the police force because they're being vilified. And I give anybody credit who wants to join the police force now with the way that they are being attacked and vilified, and to do it under this mayor who's now talking about slashing officers in terms of the number of officers and sending a social worker. How about the other day, Matt, when this guy comes and lunges at 2 officers, and what does Mamdani do? Mamdani goes and visits the slasher as opposed to the 2 officers. That speaks volumes. So in other words, it's very hard to get good people to join the police department, and we're lucky that there are so many great ones who do. But you know what? It's a tough job right now, don't you think, Matt?
Sure, but what you want to avoid is getting so desperate that you're hiring dregs to get on the police department.
Wait, I don't think they're dregs. You think they're dregs that are on the police department right now? You got to be kidding me.
Well, I'll give you an example. 60% of the police department is composed of the same 2 groups of people in New York City who commit most of the crime: blacks and Hispanics.
Wait a minute! You have got to be kidding me, Matt. You're going to make it a race issue? You are not kidding me. You're really going to wait a minute. But don't you think that maybe it's a good thing if that's indicative of New York City, that the police department reflects the population? And thank goodness those people want to join the police department. I'll take great people. I don't care what color skin they are. I call every one of them a hero. But for some reason, you're labeling it. What are you trying to say here, Matt?
I'll give you an example. There was a problem with prostitution along Roosevelt Avenue in Jackson Heights last summer. And you had 2 NYPD recruits who were not only not combating the problem, they ended up robbing and molesting one of the prostitutes. They both, incidentally, one was Hispanic, one was black. They were on the force.
What does that have to do with? Hey, Matt, hold on a second. First of all, obviously, if they did that, and I don't know the specifics of that particular case, but anybody who does that, I don't care if they're purple with pink polka dots on them, that's obviously not the right thing to do. Clearly, that's not good. But you make it sound like all of them, because they're black and Hispanic, that they cross the line. You should be thanking, you know what? You live in the Bronx. When you call 911, are you going to say, can I get a white cop to answer? Because the person busting down my door, I really only want to see a white cop. I don't want to see a Hispanic or black cop. You got to be kidding me, Matt.
I don't want to see a thug in a uniform. And the truth of the matter is, in New York City and other big cities in the United States, most of the crime is committed by blacks and Hispanics. That's a fact. Oh,
Matt, please. Your racist diatribe is way over the top tonight. It really is. The fact that you would actually think that because somebody's African American, what they have a higher propensity, that is such a ridiculous statement, and it's such a preposterous statement. And just like when you get on an airplane, you want to make sure the pilot is good. I don't care what color they are. And again, I call anybody who is wearing a uniform a hero. They are colorless. And I hope you call back and take back those statements, because guess what? If you have to call 911, I don't think you're going to be deciding the color of the skin. I think everybody's going to be saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And maybe you would have a different perspective at that point, because these people are gutsy and courageous and going through great training. And I think it's great that we have a lot of Hispanics and African Americans. They can relate to different sectors of the community. They have women on the force. I think that's great, too. I think as long as they're all good and capable and great, solid, upstanding people, bravo. And I hope you change your mind there, Matt. Wow. Let's go to Pete in Staten Island. Pete, please give me a little common sense after what I just heard there.
I don't know. spinning around the world to hear him. I think he's from out of space.
Pete, you're all muffled. Go. I can't hear you, Pete. You're all muffled.
Okay, yeah, no reality at all. I'm telling you, I can't believe it. Can you hear me?
Pete, go ahead. Try it again because you sound bad. Go ahead.
Yeah. No
okay,
reality.
and Pete, in the future, you got to go right to it because I don't want to hang up on you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he's not facing reality, Matt. I mean, the police job is a tough job. I did it for a little while. It was too tough for me, and I got out, all right? So, I was with the Atlas Squad. I'd love to see that back, you know?
By the way, what do you make of Pete's comments that, they're African-American, they're this, they're that? I mean, what a ridiculous claim from this guy, Pete.
That's a racist. Come on. These people, look, everybody, when you become a cop or a fireman or anything, you have a dedication to save people and to help people. And that's what the reason has to be. I mean, that's at least what I did. And to worry about who's going to come to your house and stuff, believe me, that's the whole problem.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. What a crazy, ridiculous comment. I think all of our men and women in blue are just utter heroes and need and deserve our respect. Boy, do they need them now more than ever. And especially when you got a mayor who is talking about scaling back on recruits. That is not a good sign, along with a lot of other things that he's trying to do. Pete, thank you very, very much. Let's go to Michael in Queens, line 4. Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead, Michael. I hear your heavy breathing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. So, the one thing nobody talks about, I mean, you certainly don't, or any of the other hosts, is hypersonic missiles, which have no defense. And how many casualties it's going to cost us.
Are you talking about in vis-a-vis with Iran or what, or with Russia? Because that's
Right.
another big issue with Russia, obviously, too.
Right. But see, here's the thing. They have the most advanced missiles on the planet. And anybody could just Google or ask AI, can they be shot down? And no, they cannot. So now what? Trump knows this. Trump is terrified. He's trying to save face. He's talking about the nuclear program that he already blew up, just so he could say it's about something, because he knows they're not giving up the missiles. And those missiles have nothing to do with us. It's because they pounded Israel for 12 days until Trump begged Iran to stop. That's the problem.
Wait a minute.
And
Wait. Michael, hang on. Michael. Whoa. Okay. The hypersonic missiles, by the way, are very serious threats. I agree with you. And also what is a threat is that Iran and Russia are chummy. They're doing drills right now. They're off of Iran. That's obviously a very, public message to the United States and the world. But you just made it sound like the only reason that Trump is going after Iran is to help Israel. Don't you think that Iran, with its tentacles, with Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, what about the Marine barracks years ago? All of these things. You don't think it's a better world without this this terrorist regime? You think this is just payback for Israel? I don't think so. Do you honestly think that?
I want to know how many American lives.
I actually asked you a question.
How many American lives?
Michael, I actually asked you a yes or no question. Do you honestly think this is all about Trump defending Israel? Yes or no?
Rita, everybody knows that. Everybody.
I'm asking you. I'm asking you, Michael.
19% support for the war. 19% support for the war.
I'm not saying we want to go to war, and I don't think Trump wants to go to war either.
You talk about going to war all day long.
You know what? I talk about President Trump preparing for war. Do you look at where the USS Eisenhower is? Do you look at where the USS Gerald Ford is? Do you look at where the USS Abraham Lincoln is? I would say that's a good sign. But you seem to think that Iran is just a bunch of nice people tiptoeing through the tulips. And if that's the case, whatever you're taking, that's really good stuff, Michael, because you're seeing la-la land. Go ahead.
You're willing to sacrifice. How many Americans are you willing to sacrifice for Israel?
I would like to not sacrifice any. But I don't think Trump wants to sacrifice any.
Because it's going to be a 3-week, the Pentagon said it would be a 3-week campaign. BBC did a war game. It cost between 4,000 and 44,000 American lives.
So let me ask you a question, Michael, and I don't think anybody wants to see that, and I will agree with you on that, and I don't think President Trump does either. But we have not heard anything about U.S. boots on the ground. We have not heard anything to that degree. Don't you think Israel would play that role, and maybe others? But just let me ask you, are you okay with a nuclear Iran? It's a simple question. Are you okay with a nuclear Iran? You seem to think that their program is completely decimated and nothing to worry about, that Iran is a bunch of nice people,
That's
nice
what you
mullahs.
told us 2 weeks ago.
I'm asking.
You told us 2 weeks ago.
They did do significant damage. Michael, I agree.
They did shit. They did shit. Stop it.
They did do significant damage, and I just heard that 4-letter word, but they did do significant damage. Michael, for some reason, you seem like a big apologist. You seem like a really big apologist for, Iran, and I'm not quite sure why. For some reason, you love the mullahs. How did you get into your mullah hugging regime phase? Tell me about that one, Michael.
Your channel is Israel first. We, the people, are America first. And we don't give two about Israel. Okay? Trump serves the Jewish power structure, not us. He betrayed America.
Well,
That's why
Michael,
he's at 28%.
Michael, there's a lot of people who disagree. Michael, there's a lot of people who disagree. And guess what? WABC, which is the home station here, is #1 across America. So I would say maybe there's a lot of people who appreciate freedom and have respect for those who are fighting for freedom there in Iran, and maybe have a little problem with a ruthless regime that is butchering their own people, including in the hospitals. But you seem to like them and you seem to coddle them, and that's a strange place to be. I'll give you that one. That is for sure. Let's go to Indy in Vermont, line 1. Boy, this is loony night. Go ahead, Indy.
Well, then I probably am classified in the loony.
That's okay. That's okay. That you seem like a nice person. I'll take a break after Michael. Go ahead.
So this is when I'm an independent, but tend to lean left, and this is what I don't necessarily understand. So we had an agreement with Iran when Trump came into office, just like we did when he came into office the first time. And he negated those. And so now we're in this situation where we have no agreement. And
you know why why the agreement, it was not worth anything. They continued their program and they stopped allowing inspectors to go in. That was the bottom line. I mean, you can't, if they're not agreeing to X amount, and it was much of it was also an agreement that was put forth by Barack Obama and others who sent so much money. Remember all that money that came in the middle of the night to Iran? Oh, and again, sure. Indy, to Mike's point, I'm not someone who is anxious to go to war with anyone. And I actually don't think Trump is either. I think he is trying at all costs to avoid it. The problem is Iran does not seem to be agreeing to anything in terms of reduction of their nuclear program, in terms of ballistic missiles, in terms of butchering their people. There's a lot of things, and there is no doubt that Iran has been a bad actor.
I can acknowledge that.
Yep.
At the same time, if they are not complying, then it's our responsibility to ensure that they are allowing us to go in and
but they're not. And that's the problem. And that's one of the criteria that they're asking in this new negotiations that are continuing at this point. They're saying not only do we want to see no nuclear development because they're reconstituting it in other sites, but they also want to make sure that there are full and unfettered access to inspectors, and they're not agreeing to that either. So it's a dangerous situation for the world, and maybe one day Michael will understand that. I think you do, Indy. Maybe Michael will get it someday too. We're going to continue your calls after the break, everybody. 1-800-848-9222. I love all your opinions, guys. But first, support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Support our Heroes segment with a powerful story from Pompano Beach, Florida, where a veteran there was treated to a one-of-a-kind honor for his birthday. Veteran Donald Lewis served in the U.S. Navy as a gunner's mate on the USS Yorktown during World War II, and he was recently honored on his 105th birthday with the city naming a day in his honor. His daughter said, "My dad is a quiet person. He doesn't complain about anything." And she said, "I want to be like him when I grow up." By the way, the veteran has 16 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. And bravo to this great hero and his family. And everybody, all it takes is just $11 a month to make a huge difference. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Be sure to check them out at T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Sterling K. Brown from the Hulu original series Paradise. The next chapter begins as Xavier's search for his wife takes him above ground, and what he finds will change everything. It was never just about the bunker. Tune in and discover the truth lies outside. Paradise, the official podcast, is now streaming, and stream Paradise Season 2 on February 23rd on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's go to your calls. Let's go to Liz in Florida, line 1. Liz, your thoughts tonight. Save me, Liz, save me.
I'm going to save you, Rita, and you're doing great. First of all, this is way long overdue. There's nothing to discuss. Israel and America don't want war. We want peace. But Iran wants to wipe us both out. They don't want America or Israel to exist. They are an enemy of not only Israel, but of the United States as well. They cannot be trusted.
By the way, I agree. And let's not forget that in Tehran, as we speak and as they've been doing, they are shouting death to Israel. And then the next line is death to the big Satan of America. Mike, wake up. We need to protect America and the world.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.